Toastmaster Najam. Sky is the limit. Sky is the limit. Toastmaster Najam.
It was a chilly morning in Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, when Wilbur and Orville decided to test out their amazing invention. They had been working on it for a long time. On December 17, 1903, at 10:35 a.m., their invention slid down a monorail and went up into the air. It was an aeroplane. And they had just completed the takeoff for what was going to be their first successful flight. Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and honorable guests, Assalamu alaikum. Very good evening. As you must have guessed by now, I'm talking about the Wright brothers and their first flight. It was the first self-powered flight in the history of mankind. The flight took off from Kitty Hawk and landed back in Kitty Hawk. It was not a very long flight. In fact, if I were to put it into perspective, it was shorter than the wingspan of a 747. But this 12-second, 120-foot flight was a revolution on its own. It was the foundation for all the modern aircraft that we have today. It was the foundation for the immense airline industry that we live under. This is a snapshot of the airline industry that goes over our head on a daily basis. This shows at any random time all the planes that are in flight. At any given moment, there are more than 9,000 planes in air, which means that there are 1.2 million people flying around. Now this number 9,000, it can go up to 16,000 at times, but it never falls below 2,000. So even right now, at least 2,000 planes are in the air. Now when I look at this map and this huge mess of air traffic, quite a few questions popped up in my head. With all these planes flying from here to there, up and down, I had one question. Is it really safe to fly? Or will we really just end up crashing into one another? For that, I would like to introduce you, for the answer, I would like to introduce you to the word of the day. I'm sorry, did you just introduce the word of the day? Okay, I'll make it the word of the presentation. Okay, the word of the presentation. And that is there anybody over here who has a fear of flying? Slightly? Okay, I'll just make sure that you do by the end of the presentation. Anyways, the word of the day is aerophobia. And it means that when you just hate flying. Now this can be a mild fear, in which case when your plane enters into turbulence and starts shaking, and the only thing you can say, Yalla bacha le. That is also part of aerophobia. And it can go on to extreme levels, where you have to go to Islamabad, the trains are closed, the roads are closed, the only option you have to fly, you will not fly, you'd rather walk. That is how petrifying aerophobia can be to you. If you do have aerophobia, don't worry, you're not alone. Because almost 20% of the people are aerophobic, and they're scared of flying, whether little or more. So you can be the Yalla Bachali guy, or you can be the guy who I would rather walk. Okay, but you still have aerophobia. Now, if so many people have aerophobia, 20% is like quite a large number. Does that really mean that flying is dangerous? Why do so many people have so much phobia? Well, from here forward, I'll let the stats do the talking. This is a chart. Well, that's an airplane, but this is a chart. Okay, and it shows all the flights that have occurred from 2008 to 2018 on an annual basis. In 2008, we had 26.5 million flights. The number has gone up to 38.1 million flights. And since we are talking about the danger and the safety, I have to put in this tragic topic of the casualties that occur in these years, from 2008 to 2018. Now, there is no specific trend in this. But as you can see that the chunk was higher before and it's becoming lower, with 2017 being the best year in aviation history because we had only 12 casualties. Now, if I take both of these tables together, put in some complex math, put in some calculations, I come up with this, that is, for an individual to suffer a fatal crash, the chances are 1 in 7 million, which are pretty damn low. I'm sorry about the word, but okay. To put this into perspective again, do you know that the chances of you being outside and being struck by lightning are 1 in 12,000? Do you know that the chances of being involved in a motor crash and suffering critically are 1 in 1,000? So this is pretty low. But since we are talking about transport, let's compare it with all the other modes of transport that we have. For this, I have set this standard at 1 billion miles. So we take all the cars in the world, we take all their mileage, and when it reaches 1 billion, we just check the number of fatalities that have occurred because of that. And then we do the same for motorcycles and feet and, right? As you can see, the highest rate is with motorcycles. As Toastmaster Usman was telling you, he suffered an accident. Lucky he survived, thank God. And the lowest is with air. That's 0.07 casualties per 1 billion miles of flight. So it's pretty easy for me to conclude with all of this data that 1 in 7 million, which is a pretty low number, aircrafts are much safer than any other mode of transport. So there is no need to be scared of flying. And that, Mr. Toastmaster. Thank you.